All right, hello and welcome to a cheeky What Was That radio situation and conversation with a band out of Ontario here in Canada that are called Stuck on Planet Earth. I've been itching to speak to these gentlemen for an awful long time. They're into their 15th year as a band, for goodness sake. And while their debut album came out in 2020, right as things were getting locked down, called Beautiful Moment, their music just speaks to my heart. It galvanizes my soul, and it was such a thrill to speak with them for near enough 2 hours. I've just wrapped the chat, taking my headphones off, and I'm realizing how loud I had them because I can't really hear anything. But I'm just so giddy and excited at how wonderful it was, how warm they were. And quite frankly, the quick rundown, if you're new to What Was That Radio, is that yes, I'm originally from England. I worked in commercial radio on the West Coast and Vancouver Island here in Canada for over a decade. And I took that growth and experience with some of my dear friends and colleagues that helped me grow so much. And at the start of the pandemic, chose to leave the comfort of that and build my own niche, pure modern rock discovery radio station. Radio is such a powerful and incredible tool, but I wanted to go really, really niche and focus on modern rock that gets my soul going. We go back no older than 2017, over 5,000 bands, 90% of the playlist and the algorithm I've built is from 2020 release onwards. And who ticks the box repeatedly for a band that you need to know? Maybe you already know them already, that's why you're here. But a band that you need to know, one of the most exciting, and I say that about all of these 5,000 bands, with no less love, the same passion for every single one you need to know about Stuck on Planet Earth. Here's my conversation with Adam, Al, and Andrew. And thank you for being here. You can find out more about them, link below. Find out more about What Was That Radio, link below. And if you feel like a cheeky like, subscribe, or follow, or diving into Discord, you do you, because you don't owe me shit. But if you do, and just for being here, thank you. Here's a conversation with Stuck on Planet Earth. We're up. The signal's been given.
Hello.
Hello. I love that you're early. Thanks for being early.
Oh, that's us. That's us.
I was just watching on the start of the stream here. I like to go through 2 or 3 songs the best I can to get a feel, to get myself in the right mood for it, for the conversation, and then also with the people that join us early. Just going through Permanent, that is my favorite song by you guys. I think Permanent is just such a good song.
Thank you.
And I'm just so excited to chat. So I think the first thing that needs to be given is a little bit of context behind me. And here comes Andrew.
Hello.
And I think I got that right. With the baseball caps on, I get confused sometimes between the two.
We look the same
Sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I actually didn't fuck up right at the start of that. That's great.
I'll go front. That way it's easier.
Thank you. So basically, I'm originally from the south of England. I moved to Canada coming up 14 years ago. My grandmother was from Shawnigan Lake here on Vancouver Island, which is where I'm broadcasting out of Victoria. And nice. When she passed away, we had a bit of a get-together in Toronto, which is where I think you 3 are right now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's where I met a wealth of Canadian family that I hadn't since I was 10 at like a quick reunion in Scotland, of all places, many years ago in the early 90s. And I'd always been chasing radio and making demos since I was a little kid. You're not going to get hired on the radio when you're 11, 12, 13, 14, but I still tried. And I just couldn't make it. I couldn't make it happen in the UK. And I fell in love with Victoria, which is easy to do if you've been here. And so I gave out radio demos when I backpacked across the country to the Edge in Toronto, or to, Q107, or to the X in Calgary when it launched, or Sonic in Edmonton and the Zone in Victoria, etc. And long story short, I ended up getting hired at the Zone and was there for a decade, and went from overnight guy to evening guy to midday guy. And then at the start of the pandemic, I decided that it just felt like the right time to. I'm very thankful for all the growth of the people that I worked with, but I felt like I wanted to push my passions to their limit. And also the band that I used to drum in had sadly broken up right before we were about to really get going with something special. And I just felt like I want that sweat back in my life, where I'm not just clocking in, clocking out, and it's all so easy. I want to be under pressure and worrying about having no money to achieve any dreams, but still wanting the dreams to flourish. You know what I mean? So yeah. I thought I'm going to set up and build a purely modern rock station, nothing older than 2017, over 5,000 bands. 2020 onwards is what 90% of the releases are from. So it's purely just modern, the epitome of modern rock. And a story I've been longing to tell you, because it's 22 months old now, is one of the first, what I do different to commercial radio, which I still think is very powerful, and I adore all forms of radio, but something that I'm trying to do is not have a heavy or medium rotation. Like if it's a good song, it goes into the mix, it's in the algorithm I've built, and you won't hear the same band twice in a day because there's so many bands, but at the very start, I did want to have 25, 30 bands I felt exemplified the energy that I was going for. And so with Ghosts on the Radio and with Permanent, those were two songs that I was like, well, this is the cream of the crop of Canadian for me right now. And that's what I'd like to build the sound around. However, with the algorithm that I built and learning how to do all these systems, I didn't realize that I hadn't tagged Ghost on the Radio. And what that meant was, because I had my rules of, I don't want to break these rules and I don't want these songs or bands to play more than 5 or 6 times a day like you might usually get, Ghost on the Radio was playing like 50 times a day for the first 4 weeks until I fucking realized. And people are like, whoa, this band's really cool. Who are they? Because you sure love playing the shit out of it. And I was like, that's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do here. But I've been longing to tell you about it for God knows how long. So I really appreciate, firstly, Brian Chick for his support in helping me get this conversation with you. And for you all to be in the same room is a real delight, because sometimes with Zooms, you've got the 3 different places and then you don't get all the reaction. And the way that I've got it set on my stream is that it would just be the current talker, right? So to have you all there is great.
We did this on purpose because we have our headline Toronto show tonight, and we haven't done that since before the pandemic. So today's a special day for our band because we have this big headline show. But to further what you're saying, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for spinning the shit out of Ghosts on the Radio. We really do appreciate it. And we were genuinely excited to do this interview because we started to check out all your stuff. And I said to the guys, I was like, man, this is something that we need to do, because I could tell that you have a lot of passion, and I listened to some of your past podcasts. So we were excited to be a part of it.
Well, that's fucking sweet. Thanks, Al. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me, because as you guys know, I mean, this is like 15 years of friendship at this point, no?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you know from the hustle, you know how fickle this industry can be, and how you play the flirtatious game with radio. And the last thing I'll say before we really dive into your souls is that a big part of my radio adventure was wanting to be, I had some horrible things happen to me as a kid. And so I just wanted to be acknowledged. I wanted someone to acknowledge my passion and my talent. And I found that after 7 or 8 years in commercial radio, I felt icky in the sense of, it's not about being famous to me. It's about the art of the artist and how you can really exemplify their talents, how you can connect with them and just have conversations with them. And I started to feel like maybe this isn't me. Maybe I need to go completely niche away from this. And that's a big factor in why I got out. So for you to say that and for you to put that time in to check it out is really appreciated. Like I had to say to Brian, I said, Brian, I haven't got the 50,000 weekly listeners or the commercial corporate arm behind me anymore. It's just me. So for him as well to buy in and do it, and for you to check it out, that's very kind. So
we're stoked to be here. We're excited, and we were really excited to be doing this today.
But you've got this. Why are you doing this? This is a massive day with the show tonight. You just felt like the good times would roll from this point on, because I would be pretty fucking nervous right now, getting ready and anxiety balanced.
The anxiety usually doesn't kick in until like you're like standing on the side stage. You're like, all right, we got to play. So I think the important thing is like just keeping busy, and then you don't think about it. So like we got up really early this morning. We rehearsed for like a couple hours. We got back here. We're just like working out some kinks, and then we're on Zoom here with you. So like it's good. We just keep moving.
Plus, usually before a show, we all split up. This is really nice because we're actually all together, and we get to enjoy each other's company for that much longer.
And I was really late this morning, so I'm like everyone's kind of they're not feeling good about me right now. So
he was very late for band practice this morning, and we were kind of upset. And I gave him like the cold shoulder when he came in, and then he's like, "Hey, I should probably stay behind and fix some things for the show." And I said, "No, you're doing this fucking interview today." So that's why.
Oh my God, you got no grace. Well, what time did you band practice?
What's that?
What time did you band practice?
At the ungodly rock and roll hour of 9 a.m.
And I got there at 9:45. So I mean, can you blame me for that?
He's a drummer. He can keep time in rehearsal, but he can't be on time.
That's it. It's either you have a drummer that's on time or a drummer, that's.
But that's the same for me. Like my partner was ribbing me about it the other day and saying, we're always 5-10 minutes late to everything. And I was like, I know. And I try so hard to be there. I try so hard, I set alarms, multiple alarms to try and be there on time. And it still is a massive failure. But I said at the same time, everyone's kind of used to like, I feel like that's a Canadian thing though. In England, my dad was always 2 hours early to everything. And it was so infuriating. But then in Canada, certainly on the West Coast, on Vancouver Island, it was like, oh, you're going to come to my party or my show? Yeah. All right, sweet. It's going to start at 8, and then no one's there until 10. And so I would be there for 2 hours like, fuck, this feels like dad, but I'm 25 now. You know, what the hell?
That's a little more West Coast vibe. Here in Toronto, everybody's pretty, I think everyone's pretty good here. Everyone's like rushing around here all the time. It's like rush to the next fucking thing.
Yeah. Traffic sucks. So you have to leave early. Like you have to.
Now, if you can place for me, because I've got cousins, and I just say cousins when they're second, third removed or whatever it might be, but in North Bay and all over Ontario in strange little places like Englehart, a tiny little town right up north under Quebec, North Bay and Kingston and Hamilton. But whereabouts is Vaughan? And it is pronounced Vaughan before I get a go like the Ajax thing.
The landmark we always say to people is Canada's Wonderland. So it's about 30 to 40 minutes northwest of Toronto. So it's pretty close. It's a stone's throw from the city.
Right. And with 15 years of the band coming up, I'm presuming this is like a childhood friendship situation.
High school, yeah.
High school. Adam and I met when we were in junior high, and then we played in like a band. And then when we were graduating high school, we enlisted the services of Andrew. So yeah, long time.
Why do you laugh at the enlisted services of? They're really ribbing you today so far.
Well, he had to send his resume in, and then we had a couple interviews, a couple interview sessions.
He had to wear a tie and a button-up shirt.
They were in a pop punk band, and I was coming from like a metal band, and I told them, I said, guys, I'll join the band, but like no more whining on stage about you stubbed your toe or something, because that's what their music sounded like before.
We weren't ready to stop.
Sorry, go on now. Go on, Adam. Sorry.
No, I was just saying we didn't want to stop whining, so we're like, listen, man, you just have to put up with it.
And here I am.
And here he is.
So it was like a Panic at the Disco meets the Used or situation, or what was it all the way back then?
It was like Jimmy Eat World and Blink-182 meets Tool.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
No, I'm kidding.
No, it wasn't that at all. It was it was teen angst, and I learned how to play 3 chords and let's make some music kind of thing.
And so I'm presuming the suit and tie is bullshit, or was that a legit look?
No.
We're
I think we did the suit and tie for a couple TV performances in Toronto, but like just to spice things up every once in a while.
I think at this point in our career, there's not really much we haven't done. We've worn all white on stage at a couple shows, look like a bunch of painters.
We've done suits. We've done
suits. Adam wore a dress once. It is what it is. We're just trying things out.
Throw shit at the wall. That's always what we're kind of into.
Well, you got to double check, because I don't know if you know that when the Hives first started out, they had a manager, and the manager was just a made up manager. Oh, this is what I said before you guys jumped in the Zoom. It's probably really bad luck to eat a chocolate protein bar before you got to speak for an hour, but I got to fucking do it anyway because it's breakfast and I just got up an hour ago. So I forget, pardon me, the manager's name. I think it was Peter something or Bloomquist or something. And they just had a false manager to act as their intermediary because it can be prickly. And I thought that was genius, that for the first 10 years of their career, there was no manager. It was made up. So I just got to double check, because he was the one that said, make sure you wear your suits and ties, boys. Otherwise, no one's going to take punk rock seriously.
We did have a fake booking agent named Michael Fowler at gmail.com, and he would email people to get us gigs, and he was pretty successful at it.
we even had a voice for him. We had a picture for him
voice,
too.
photos, whatever worked to get us shows. So yeah, we can relate to that.
So what? So who would be? You would all impersonate him on? Would there be phone calls if you've got a voice for it, or just in house?
Yeah, no, there's a voice. Yeah,
we had
it's hi, it's Michael Fowler here, calling on behalf of Stuck on Planet Earth. Yeah, it was a whole shtick. It worked. It actually did work.
Actually, he was interviewed on the radio stations before as well.
I was Michael Fowler. So I guess it's our first time admitting to Michael Fowler being a fake fictional
publicly, yes,
person.
How far did this go? Tell me examples. Give me context.
Yeah, we did have to kill him off after I want to say 4 years. Because
Jesus Christ. Okay, skip back before the death and gore. Don't worry. We'll get to the kill off. We got plenty of time. I know you're 3 hours ahead, but we got time. Let's go back. Why? Where did he come from?
So when we first started our band with Andrew, we wanted to do something different right off the bat. And that was something that we thought of called the backpack tour. And we would show up to high schools across Southern Ontario after school. At the beginning, it was unannounced. We show up with acoustic guitars, and we would be basically at the schools playing for the kids as they left for the day. But much to our, I guess, we didn't know how it was going to go. At the very beginning, it was in the winter in Toronto, around Southern Ontario. And so we'd get snowballs thrown at us. We'd have people, I don't even know.
Cops called
on us, principals calling us. So we figured, okay, this is a way to start building up our band. And then we did it 3 times over. And we started to get some fans, but we had a lot of trouble booking shows in some of these cities. So we came up with Michael Fowler to help us book shows in around the GTA, really, Greater Toronto area, that helped get us into some of these venues. So it was a little bit of the backpack tour, and we would use that as kind of like the blueprint to say, hey, well, the guys have actually been here before. They've been to this high school. They would actually do really well in this town. And the funny thing is that we would do well in those towns because we'd show up, and sure enough, we'd be playing all ages shows for these kids who were watching us at these backpack tours. So it kind of went hand in hand with our DIY ethos.
And this was almost like pre-social media. Like this is when social media was like first coming out. So you didn't really like post a lot of them like YouTube or whatever. So it was always like, well, who is this? Who's this band that keeps showing up at these schools?
And a lot of the administration at these high schools were just like, who do we talk to, kind of thing. Like we want maybe have you guys play in our auditorium or whatever. So
those were some schools. A lot of it was like, who the fuck are these guys? Get these guys off our property.
Oh yeah.
Because we would go right into the school. Like as soon as the last bell rang, we would walk right in to the front like area, and then like teachers would be like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, and then there was this like, we'd have about 10-15 minutes of playtime while the teachers figured out like,
we don't go to school.
Who are these guys? Are these guys supposed to be here? Like, do they come to this school? Like,
this is pre-facial hair.
It was pre-facial hair. We were just removed from high school by only a year, so we weren't that much older than the seniors there. But also, like Adam said, it was an interesting time because YouTube was just kind of becoming a thing. So we were able to post the footage on YouTube, and also it was the beginning of, I don't know if it even traveled out there, but the beginning of We Day here in Ontario. And We Day was this big movement where they would have artists and bands come perform in the high schools. Well, we started to do this high school run so often that the student councils at a lot of these high schools were voting to have us come and play the We Day. So all of a sudden we're, playing 15 minutes outside, and then, 3 or 4 months later in the spring, we were playing to 1,000 kids in the auditorium, all because we busted our chops to just basically, play DIY outside. So it was the true beginnings of the band, and the way Michael Fowler played into it. He was able to book us these all ages shows in and around some of these areas that we were playing the high schools in. But
it won't work anymore. So for you bands out there, you could try. I don't know if it's going to.
Now schools would go on lockdown, and it would be a real threat. So this was a very different time for sure.
It's bonkers. I mean, I suppose that's probably right as well before MySpace really kicked in. I know MySpace was a big tool that I used for like stand-up in the early 2000s.
I was,
You're aging us now.
Yeah, MySpace.
Well, tough. We're all the same, mate. I think we're all the same.
This was MySpace days still, 2007, 2008. But we didn't have a lot of recorded material at the time, so we were really just going off of the live show and just getting people talking,
getting our name out there.
And then once the fictional, booking agent Michael Fowler booked us, we would actually have kids at these shows, and then we started to record and lay down some material, and it all worked hand in hand. But it took about 1.5 years to get that going.
That's such a cool initiative to take on. I love that hustle. I remember when I worked at the Zone and we had USS played a show, which you probably know those two from Toronto, but they were my first proper radio interview over a decade ago, and I've been friends with them both since, but we're just because they're both so wacky, and I like to get wacky too, I suppose, is the very simple way of diving into that without diving into that. But they played a show at a high school, and like high schools competed to get a USS show, and I'm just editing how much of this story I should share because the principal's still probably so fucking furious about it. But there was one of their songs where there was a clear radio edit, and the kids all know the song. And Ash is like, well, look, we're going to play the radio edit because we're in a high school and we've agreed that we wouldn't have any swearing here today because the principal had asked for that. And of course, all the kids are just screaming in those gaps, fuck you, in that gap. We don't give a shit, or whatever. And all these teachers afterwards just swarming myself and my boss, being like, this is unbelievable. These kids don't know what those words are. And my boss is like, well, I think they do. They're singing it back. What do you want us to do about it? And I feel like Michael's role could have been, if it was in 2022, would be like, now let me know, Michael, are they going to be saying anything inappropriate or sexual? Because we can't have that on our school grounds. The board will be the board will be furious. But what were some of the successes that surprised you from him emailing out and saying, hey, we've got a great band here, you should get involved?
Like with the fictional Michael Fowler?
Yeah. What did he bring that you were like, holy shit?
I think it just got us into the small club circuit around doing the 401 in Ontario. So that was, St. Catharines, Hamilton, Kingston, Barrie, right up to Ottawa and Montreal. And early on, it just gave us the confidence to be like, okay, we can do this. And on top of that, kids were buying tickets. They were coming out to watch us play at all ages shows. So it automatically made us feel like all the shit that we were eating to show up at these high schools doing this backpack tour was actually paying off. And it just catapulted us into the music scene in Toronto right away, because there was an audience that was already built in because we were doing this backpack tour.
Was there a way that you had to envision how he spoke and typed? Did you try and grab a few thesauruses and get some new words in the vocabulary?
The name came first, and it was just a total Gmail thing. It was one that we thought it was just a very funny, bland name, and it would probably go well with people because it was just whatever down the middle. The voice came when we were on tour and just driving across the United States in delusional states, like mentally delusional. We had a big drive one time from South by Southwest back to Toronto, like a 24-hour drive. And I think we were all just losing it. And at that point, I was just, I don't know, I'm kind of a goof in the van, and I was just doing stupid voices. And then all of a sudden it became this thing. And then somehow it led to another thing where I was on the phone with someone using the voice. And then the next thing you know, we were playing shows in some of these places because of the voice. So I don't know, it was just evolved over time, I guess.
I would love to see, because your music videos over the years have been really clever, is probably the simplest way of describing it. I would love to see maybe like a re-emergence of this character, whether you all three play it, whether you get, try and get some famous fucker to come in the video and help bump, views and do it. I think there's a story that could be brought back. Like, I mean, with, it was Permanent as well, where you had the Mafia, right? The Mafia asking you to clean up. I was sassing you a bit before you jumped into Zoom, saying, yes, now obviously I realize they're probably playing characters, but the last person I would ask, or persons, to clean out a van, a death trap, is a bunch of rock musicians, because there's going to be fucking remaining blood droplets left afterwards.
You know what? You're absolutely wrong, because we're some of the cleanest, some very, very, we're I don't know, when we're on tour, especially, it's like everything has to be in its place.
That video is actually more making fun of ourselves, because like people see like our backgrounds are Italian. So like some people think like we're automatically like tied to the mob.
We're also from Vaughan, Ontario. Vaughan, Ontario, if you're from Toronto, it's notorious for being an Italian Canadian community. Not a lot of bands come out of there, not a lot of rock bands for that matter. And so there's a lot of, I guess, like mafia stigma that comes to, and which is true. A lot of the mafia from the GTA comes from this area. So, and God bless Andrew's grandfather, who's passed now, actually made an appearance at the beginning. He's the
that was him.
Yeah,
he's the
Godfather.
Godfather.
I wanted him in the music video for so long, and that one just kind of felt. Our buddy Joey was the director of that, and we just kind of bounced some ideas back. We're like, this would be perfect for my grandfather, and he's just like, yeah, let's do it. So it was really special. That video is important to me for sure. Yeah,
I think it's a wonderful video. Everything that you've done from the get-go has been really slick, which is interesting to me, because after all that hustle of the high school, I can't not, Adam, so I don't forget, Adam, I can't not sass you and say I appreciate you addressing that there is a stigma out there about Vaughan and on Ontario and Italians, but you say that whilst chewing a toothpick. So...
You just ate a veal sandwich
with a gold chain too. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I wish I had a toothpick for all the bits of protein chocolate in between my English gappy teeth right now, but I loved that. I couldn't not call you on that. That was just comedic gold.
Oh, that's fair.
You could trust us just gnawing on a toothpick. There's a stigma. We're safe. Don't worry about it. We're good. Okay. But that's what I find interesting is, so this energy sort of amounted after the success of this hustle with the high schools, but then how did you then connect with these people? Because we go back 8 years to the first music video. This is not like you come out the gates going, shit, we need to figure out how to do this. Like it's been slick from the start. Or were there, if you were saying that there's also video and audio, obviously, that you put up at the high school thing, was there a bit of a purge on stuff once you felt you hit the band's swing of things?
At the very beginning of the band, we were still trying to find ourselves and our sound. And it took a little while to kind of get that footing right. And then, so we were just, releasing singles, putting out EPs, and just building our audience. And at some point there was a bit of a purge to separate ourselves from this kind of high school-ish era. And it was just time to just like move forward, because we were in our early 20s and things were changing. So it was like a bit of a purge to move into more of a mature lane, if that made any sense. And the music kind of reflected that. And listen, there was a lot of fans that have stuck with us since those days. They'll be at our show tonight that it's like, holy crap, these people have been here since day one, supporting our band. There's one fan, we should give her a shout out. Her name's Paulina. She's been to like over 100 shows of ours.
That's so cool.
That comes from that era of our band. Suffice to say, though, a lot of people didn't really realize we did purge a lot of our music and a lot of our history when we did get signed, because we felt like there was a lot of pressure to change the band name and rebrand, and we felt like that wasn't very true to who we were. We're like, this is, there's a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, and we wanted people to see that these bumps and bruises existed. And but we did get rid of, we took some of that music offline, and we started kind of fresh with our album Beautiful Nowhere. So a lot of that material's, it's been purged. It's hard to find, and we've always talked about re-releasing it at some point.
I'm just quickly adjusting your view in my stream, because I realized that very seldom do I have three wonderful souls in a shot. So I want to make sure that we can see all three of you. There we go. Lovely. Because the signing was when? 4 or 5 years ago? Thank you, Adam. Yes. I wish I had a... Wait. I have sound effects. That's not appropriate. That's not appropriate.
There we go. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Anyway, fuck, they're so awkward, but it's so great. So when did the signing come about? That's got to be 5 years ago at this point, is it?
Yeah, 2018.
4 years, yeah.
Yeah, we got signed in 2018, and then we recorded a record, and then the pandemic happened.
But firstly, to focus on the name, I think that speaks, I think, volumes to the connection that you've made with your label, where they respect that you still want to keep that, because a lot of bands can feel the pressure, and I'm throwing a blanket, but from bands that I've spoken to, sometimes it's inevitable that they feel they have to agree to a change or make a major decision that can have major ramifications on how they move forward. So to stay with that name, I think that speaks to the belief they had in you as well, which is a big positive.
Yeah, I don't think we were necessarily getting pressure from them to change. It was pressure within our own camp to say, hey, like, this is kind of a new era for the band. It's
right. Pardon me.
Should we change? Should we do something? And then we had so many discussions about it. And I think part of our band's history is the history that we have. And it was like, it didn't feel right to us to just erase all that and all the fans that we had built. And yeah, maybe rebranding would have been the sexy thing to do, like a lot of bands do when they have buzz. But for us, we love the band name. We felt like, especially over the pandemic, it became more relevant with each passing day.
And we also want to showcase like how far we've come and how long we've been around for. We didn't want to like almost like start from the beginning and like, I'll be this new band. We wanted to show, and especially like if you go through our Instagram, like we haven't deleted everything. It goes way back to like,
it's bonkers that you've got that.
It was more of like a way to show people like, look, like, hey, we've been around for a long time. We put a lot of work in, and like, we're going to keep going, and like, look how long it takes, it's a lifestyle. We didn't want to, I don't know. We just didn't want to start that over again.
No, it's a great point, and I'm glad that you made that point, because that's why I've been so excited to speak to you three, is that life is a flash in the pan to an extent, and we'll get into space and Stuck on Planet Earth, and where that name alludes to where your minds might go and what you think about our situation in this fickle universe that we've called a universe. But that's what I love, is that you can't replace what you've done. Life is consistent and constant growth. And am I the same person when I moved here at 22, nearly 13, 14 years ago? No. Do I still have, obviously, the foundation is there, but it's blossomed and it's matured and yet it's grounded and it's chilled out and it's all these things and been stretched all over and figured out in between and in the middle of that. But you can't just discount your past, because by doing so, you're discounting as whether it's been negatively affected, you're discounting all the positive around it. And for me, you can grow from the negative. You can grow from looking back and going, hang on, wait, you think we were a Blink Jimmy Tool band, guys? Now I saw it. But here you are now 15 years later, and you know exactly what you are. The three of you are so connected, so synchronized with how you go about producing art. So it's just, I mean, I don't want to pump tires too much. It's just a thrill to finally speak to you. But in terms of the pandemic, yeah, I mean, for me, my favorite songs on the record, just got it up to the left-hand side of me: Skin Talk, Permanent, Higher Than the Drugs, Serotonin, and Rising. Obviously, Ghosts on the Radio, we've been over that, love. We know that's pretty clear at this point. But it's a very pertinent and very powerful album. I also was saying right before you joined the chat that before I move on too far from Permanent, there's a Ouija board behind Andrew on the drum kit. Particularly placed, or just happened to be there?
We actually shot that at a friend of ours, and he is a very, very eclectic taste. He's got a lot of cool things in his spot, and when we saw that, we're like, no, we gotta put that there. That's wicked. And I think a lot of the stuff in the video, like we try to be pretty like, I mean, at least for myself, I try to just throw stuff in every once in a while that maybe they don't even realize, but that was something that the director and I talked about, like, we should put that there. And he's just like, yeah, 100%, it's wicked.
Did you glue it to the wall? How is it? Did it magically ghostily just stick to it? I don't know.
I think it's on like a radiator, what's it called? Like that, the power bar, the panels. I think it's sitting on a panel.
Right. You should have had it just spinning or something. That's probably too cheesy.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Then that's like, I mean, the fact that you've paid attention to the details is pretty impressive, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna try to get a screenshot of it.
Yeah, get a screenshot. It's pretty dark. Like it's literally just above and to the right of Andrew's head, and I noticed it and pretty quickly. I was like, hang on a second here.
Just to speak to like Permanent, that was the blueprint for All of Beautiful Nowhere. It was written a long time before the album was written, and that was a song that got a lot of label interest for us. So that was, we'd come from like this traditional sounding 3-piece rock band, and all of a sudden Andrew was messing around with an SPDSX, and there were samples and there was drum pads and there were synths and a lot of different things happening. And when we recorded that song, we felt like it was really special because it was the beginning of what Beautiful Nowhere would become. So that song means a lot to all three of us. Like, it's a great song to play live, and it really was the blueprint for our band moving forward.
Well, and the little backstory behind that is that before we actually recorded Permanent, we had actually recorded a full-length album about, I think it took us like 2 years. We ended up going to work with like a new producer that we hadn't worked with before. We came out with Permanent, and we thought it was like so good and like a new kind of direction that we ended up scrapping 2 years of material that we ended up putting together, and we had just finished recording. I think we got it mixed, mastered, went to go write this song, and it was like, that was it. We were just like, okay, no, we can't put this old stuff out.
Yeah, there she is. Oh,
yeah, there it is. Ouija.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was Weegeee as a kid. Ouija.
That's Mario's brother.
Yeah. Sorry, pardon me. Adam, please don't send Waluigi after me with a toothpick. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. No, but there's the other thing, Al, to float your boat, or as my friend Dan says, float your goat a little bit here, is your voice is absolutely incredible. Your range is insane, and especially in Permanent. I mean, the power that you keep throughout the whole register too, that can't be dismissed. But in Permanent, there's that moment right after the second bridge going into the last chorus where you just let that scream out and that rage out. And some of my favorite bands growing up that are tattooed on me are the likes of Deftones and Queens of Stone Age and Mastodon. And so when I heard that, I was like, holy shit. And then I'm just with the rest of the record, I'm like, when you're looking through a box trying to find your favorite tee from years ago or something through the drawers, you're like, well, where did he put this? Where is this? Where is this? And I think that speaks as well volumes to how intelligent you go about, all three of you, shaping and building your songs, in the sense that there are these little nuggets. And that's what I really fucking love, whether it's a Ouija board in a music video or a nugget like that in a song, where you hear this different flair and different experience of this band and go, hang on, there's more to this. And this is why I go over songs 30, 40, 50 times because I'm trying to find and dissect every part, every backing vocal, every second guitar, every looper, whatever you might be using on the drum pads, and try and find these things. And am I amiss in saying that glowing little paragraph, or are you that band that likes? And Andrew, you were already leading us into this, so I subconsciously have jumped on your back here. But is there more? And what do you wish to share? Because it's brilliant.
Thank you for the kind words. That really does mean a lot. Just to go back to the vocal thing, that took a long time to develop, and why we bring up Permanent as a blueprint was because it was the first time that vocally I was able to capture a almost R&B smooth kind of verse like melody, and then the chorus was more like just give it, and the bridge especially was just give it, and the mending of that excited us a lot because we were like, holy shit, we didn't know that we could step in this direction, because prior, all of our past releases was very regimented in traditional rock music. And yeah, there was a little bit of that, but I do have to give it up to our producer, Steve. He really brought out the best in me vocally, and he taught me a lot in that studio experience recording those songs, because when we got to tour a little bit and when we got out of the studio, it made me a much stronger vocalist, big time, because I was paying attention to things that I just never paid attention to before. But that was like 10 years in the making to have to get there with my vocal range and everything. So that was not something that came supernatural by any means.
Adam, let's flip it a bit here. Instead of me suggesting where we go directionally with Beautiful Nowhere, what's a song that really sticks out to you, or in particular a moment where you're like, holy shit, this is fucking sweet?
Well, Permanent's definitely one of those songs for sure, because like we were saying before, it was our blueprint. But I think another one was Skin Talk.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it just had this like, kind of like punk rock sort of intro, but then it still gets into this like R&B style verse with like a rock and roll chorus. And like I always kind of liked that. Even like in the last 10 years, like we would do some R&B stuff, we would do some rock stuff, but there's certain songs on the album that really mend those two pieces together. And so other than Permanent, I think Skin Talk for me is like really captures that.
And it's really funny that's how it's kind of how that worked, where Permanent was like the first song that we made for this record, and Skin Talk was the last song that we made for this record. So it's like it was a really interesting experience as a whole, this album. But yeah, that actually Skin Talk's working title was song number 10, because it was like the last song. So like let's try to get this thing going.
And for you, Andrew, are you going to now shine a light on the middle fucking song that was recorded during the process? Can you even recall that?
Yeah. Everything else was kind of a blur. I mean, it was so much fun making this record. We did it in like the basement of our producer's parents' house, and during the summer of 2018.
Yeah.
And I think like in terms of like songs that really stand out for me, I think Ghosts is a really big one, because of the drumming in that song. Like I'm kind of become a steak cutter, where I'm just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's intense.
It's a lot of fun. There's some synth bass in that song, and like the chorus is just really it's captivating. It captures the attention when we play live. You can actually see a lot of people are just like, oh, hold on a second, this song kind of freaking slaps. So yeah, I really like Ghosts.
I really like the live session you did at Sneaky D's that you put up. I think that then also, for people that might be discovering you off the back of the new album, the latest album at this point in your career, is like a solid way of saying, yeah, we can do this shit live too. Because I'm the old school type that's like, okay, I understand. I love art. I love people that create music. I love that bands can shape shift throughout the years, and they grow and they try and dip their toes in different things. And you've got fans that are like, oh, it's not the same as the last 10 years. I don't understand it. But bands will always evolve. But for me, just that old school asshole purist, you got to do it live too. Like and especially now with the way technology has gone in the last 5 or 6 years, and Roland being at the forefront with their different sample pads and whatnot, that really shifted that on stage, and drummers going like, hang on a second, fuck. I'm just I remember when the band said to me, oh, can we do one of those looper things? And I was like, what the fuck? I'm not a computer engineer. I'm just here to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it scared the shit out of me. I don't do it. It's like that realm, Andrew, I think hats off, massive respect to you because, and then as well to you two to have to stay true to that time and click track for the most part, or any backing tracks that you use to, with backing vocals or the synths that you've got and stuff like. Then you've got to hope that the mixer is good before I nerd out too far and go down a hole here. But as long as your sound, the guy behind the woman or man behind the soundboard has got you, because there's gigs where then some bands is backing track are louder than them and you're like, oh shit, that's a no. Can we get a timeout? But
yeah, and that's a really big problem for me right now because I'm basically like, we're playing a cover song tonight, and I had to kind of bring, because every song has a backtrack, whether it's shaker or some synths, there's just stuff to kind of fill that spectrum a little bit. And we're playing a cover, and it's like, it would be weird to play a cover without any of that stuff. So I actually had to go in and produce some stuff, find out what the chords are, put in a little bit of synths here, some arpeggiated stuff for the bridge, and kind of make stuff kind of sound nice, but then also have to mix it in a way where everything is consistent, because a lot of the times, like, we'll be playing and I'm just like, geez, like why are the shakers so loud in that song and so low in this song? And then I gotta kind of reroute it back. And then I also built a light rig for us that works, that really, it's like our show has become it's evolved huge since when we started with a little djembe and acoustic stuff at a high school. So I mean, like my role back there right now is like I'm a lighting guy and a DJ first, and then I'm a drummer third. If these guys somehow convince me to have a microphone in front of my face, then I'm literally like, go gadget everything. You know what I mean?
We were debating even doing like a Backstreet Boy thing. We'll just have all our tracks playing in the background.
Just little head mics.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's the way. Oh my God! Well, if you've got that down, then go for it, Adam. But I mean, just quickly, Andrew, and sorry, Al, but I'm presuming then all the lights you've got them all synced up MIDI wise and firing off, and nerd wise. What program are you using to do that? For anyone that might know that listens or watches to this.
I built the rig.
Even better. Tell me about it. This is great.
We got a show in 2019. We were opening up for Moist. And we were talking about actually like a string of shows, and we were talking about building, like we need to like have our set kind of look really cool. So we were looking through a few things. I had some ideas of stuff that I wanted, and I was going to price them out. I'm like, this is insane. It cost an arm and a leg to do it. And like, if I build it myself, literally like 50 soldering points, and program everything myself, and basically build like automate it through Ableton.
Right.
That's kind of what I started doing, and I did it. I'm kind of working on these guys now, but basically they're
He's gonna give you a little.
I love this shit. Yeah.
It's LEDs in a U channel. They're 6 feet tall, and they run through they go into my computer, and I automate it all through Ableton. And when I hit the pad, the pad plays the music through the brain of the SPDSX, and it tells my Ableton, hey man, fire off these lights, and then it fires off the lights.
Yeah, so, it's very impressive, the whole system. We just wanted to rip off the Stills initially. When Stills did the Oceans Will Rise tour, which is a great now defunct Canadian band, they had these microphones that were just light up, and we're like, hey man, why don't we just do that? He's like, how about we make them flash to the music? And we're like, I don't know if you can make that happen. Then he just like disappeared for a month. He came back, we were on tour. A week. That shit was flashing, and we're like,
it felt like a month. It was time crunching.
It was like we have the show like by this day, and I remember like literally like blowing on the solders. You'd be like, okay, like I gotta put this stuff down.
The day of the show, like you were still like working on some kinks, and we were nervous, but
using in-ear packs for the first time. It was a whole evolved version of us for the live show, and it was like this.
But it was necessary. It was necessary. It elevated the live show tenfold.
What I was just going to say before is you were talking about how your channel waves the flag for modern rock. And, this past weekend we played a festival in Sarnia, and we saw this awesome band called Nobro play, and they were so tight.
Yeah, from Montreal.
They don't have fucking pads. They don't have in-ears. They don't have any of this shit. And they were just like a tight punk unit. And it made us appreciate how much we're doing with the new stuff, because we feel like we are carrying rock music into the future, that we want rock music to evolve. And we feel like having the extra stuff happen, the lights, the pads, all of these things, that's what excites us personally about where rock music's going, because otherwise we would be the same band we were for 15 years, but actually evolving the show and evolving with, where technology is going, that's what makes this shit really exciting, because it's different. It's something that people haven't experienced. And so it feels like we're taking rock into a different era. That's how we felt when we started doing all this stuff.
And I think there's something to be said about the bands that are just like, we're just going to go up there and play our instruments and have no tracks, no lights, no, like, just play. And I think that's great, but and we can do that. We actually do that for a couple songs in our set that are like super old, that I don't even think are on any streaming platforms. But the if I look at it and I say we can do this, or and we don't have to do this, I would just much rather do it, because for me it's fun. And the way my brain works is, if I'm playing just back there and I'm not worrying about something, then I get stressed out. I think I need to worry in order to.
Yeah, you need that pressure. You need that sort of kick up the arse, that constant worry about it. No Bro is a great example of one of the most fearless pure rock bands this country's got going right now. I saw them open up for Pup in Victoria 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been following them since. And that's another band with Don't Die and with Lala that were early on when I built the initial playlist that's built, with Ghosts on the Radio being, as we're aware, the most frequent of all playing songs at the time. But no, they're an incredible band. But this is what I love nerding out about this, in particular with each individual or band, and how and why they have decided to go a certain route. I mean, for me, when I was in the band that I was in, and we were a 3-piece, and we tried to be bigger, but then we realized that the guitarist and I had such a good synergy that we didn't need bass players that came and went and didn't really. You know when you've got that locked in. You're a 3-piece, so you know when you've got that. But we just had vocals, guitar, and me. And Jordan would split his rig into 3 so that he'd be essentially sounding like 2 guitars, and then he'd send the low out through a bass amp. He'd send whatever nerdy stuff he did, which wouldn't be the initial bam, bam, bam. It would be the afterthought, what, that would add that texture. And I would particularly play a Questlove Ludwig breakbeats kit, because they're tiny. I mean, I would switch out the snare for a Dunnett metal snare made out of an old CN rail train that sounded so fucking good. It's my favorite snare of all time, like this particular one, which I was just very lucky to walk into Long McQuaid one day, and one of my best friends, Mike Battle, who's an incredible drummer for a band called Poor Sport that you should look up, that are about to launch their first single here in a few weeks. He was like, this Dunnett's in, man, and I was like, this is it. And I particularly wanted us to be playing as minimal gear as possible when we opened up for these bigger bands, so that we would just appear like, who the fuck was that little band that made so much noise? But then the plan was to build towards a sort of similar idea that you've got going, Andrew. And my friend Mike Battle, that I just referenced, with his old band No Lies, that is now turned into Poor Spot after a few members and situations that remain private, and you know how things go, and you tweak and move on. He's done that too, and I think gone through Ableton as well to do lighting. But this is, to bring it back to my point, to speak to what I like about what you've shared the last 10 minutes, is that where we're at right now, we're so technologically advanced, and that bands are realizing how hard it is to get any kind of notice whatsoever, especially in this fickle world of social media, etc. That if you've got the chance to open up, and you've got to leave an impression. With a band like Moist, that room's full. Is that necessarily the band that you're trying to be? No. But is it a band's audience that you can say, hey, we got some shit too, check this out? For you to be able to build that kind of setup and rig, and then go on there as an opener. And here's the key for bands that might be watching this or hear this, is as independent bands, no one else is going to do this shit for you. You've got to do what these 3 guys have done. You've got to push yourself. A band that you 3 absolutely must check out, and I'll Instagram or email or whatever, is a 3-piece based out of Manchester, England, called Calva Louise. And Jess, the lead singer's from Venezuela, Alizon's from France, and Ben behind the drum kit is from the north of England. But Alizon spent the last 2 or 3 months of lockdown doing a similar thing to Andrew, in building a light show and learning how to weld and solder. Solder? That's probably the wrong word.
Solder, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Got it.
And making these custom, quite heavier than initially thought, plates that they could project their music videos into whilst they performed, to go in line with what Ben was already playing, tight to MIDI with the lights and with backing bits and pieces here and there. They are one of the most exciting, passionate bands on the planet. There are many that I play on What Was That Radio, but from what you've just shared with me, you've got to check out Calva Louise. They're like I don't like comparing bands and saying, oh, here's a band, but they are the ultimate rock rage band. Like they take bits from from sort of dance and like aggressive dance, but mainly they're an indie rock band, but they meld those two worlds together. Lots of big, thick synth textures. The guitar that Jess plays is insane. They're just so tight and so interesting. So I think it'd be great if you could check them out, and I'll link you. But
Yeah, I would love to.
also, just a check in here because we've been talking for 40 minutes. How long did you plan for this to go? Because it is showtime tonight. I don't want to mess up because you're in the afternoon now. So
We've got a little
Yeah,
while.
we've got
to go.
time.
Another
Yeah.
40. We're good.
okay, sweet. Thank you. All right. So, is there anything else, Andrew, that you want to get? Is there an animal down there? What was that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my dog.
What kind of dog is it?
You want to see him?
Yeah, this is a good segue.
Is he going to be okay if you pick him up?
Is it Italian?
Is he Italian?
Julius, his name. He was the dog's mascot. The band's mascot during the pandemic. He was in all of our
Julius.
live streams.
There we go. Hello, Julius. Good to see you. I was expecting you to have a toothpick or a cigar or something, Julius, but it's a pleasure to see you.
I
Yeah.
know.
We can hear the
literally
breathing.
just woke him up. Now you're gonna stay with me.
How old is Julius?
He is 2 years old.
And excuse me for, honestly, I'm disappointed in my shit research. What are some of the roles that Julius has played throughout the pandemic and social media?
Oh, well, we had a couple that Sneaky D's live stream. We had like these commercials in between the live stream because it was all pre-recorded. So
Oh, damn, I wish I'd seen the live stream now. Go on, Al. Sorry.
Julius, he had like we made his mouth move and he had a couple pug jokes, which were kind of funny. So they were like kind of dad jokes, but they were funny and it seemed like people got a kick out of them. And then just posting them on Instagram stories and just, he's way cuter than any of us and people just react to him way more than they do to us. And we figured, hey, this is probably good for our social media. So he's been on that.
Isn't it so infuriating that animals who are so adorable and amazing and essential to the life on this planet we call Earth, isn't it so frustrating in this fickle algorithm of social media that the fucking animals get more likes than the songs sometimes? It is what it is.
You know what? Actually, being like in the city, you see a lot of dogs, and it's funny because like you'll go into like the elevator, and like you'll have a couple people there, and they don't even speak to you. They'll just start like talking to the dog,
Yeah.
and it almost seems like it's a natural thing. Like you see someone with a pet, and you're like, you don't even care about the human. You're like, oh my god, like look at this guy. I mean, people just start talking to him. Hey, like, hi, I'm here too. How are you today?
Yeah. No, I find it. I would absolutely be like, and yes, I'm up here, and this is a very famous dog. You don't get to speak to this dog. People just paid $50 at Comic-Con to speak to this dog. Okay. And that was me giving them a deal. Back up.
I think we like pets just because they don't talk back to us. We're just like, damn, you're so cute. Even if they don't like you, it's just like they can't speak to you. So
Yeah. Well, but I always think that my cat is like, just fuck off, please. Go away. Please, 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 please. No. Back off.
cats are smart. Cats are smart animals.
Oh, thanks, Adam. Appreciate that.
They're very smart animals. So like you can tell when a cat's like they don't want to be around you. The dog is like they're a little more like I don't want to use this word, but they're a little dumber. And they're a little more like
Simple.
Like, they're simple.
They're just, rub my belly. Give me some food.
Yeah.
Cats can like almost fend for themselves.
They're judgy. Cats are judgy.
Yeah, they're very judgy.
You can just see in their eyes.
They'll come to you. You don't go to them.
No. Yeah, and that applies to cougars too. Don't try and walk up on a cougar. Actually, that makes me think of have either of you, sorry, have any of you been to Victoria before? Surely, maybe? No.
Yes. A long time ago. Very long time.
2016.
No, we were in Vancouver in
Oh,
2016.
Vancouver.
No, I went to Victoria
He was-
in 2009.
Right, but that wasn't anything band-wise. That was just social.
It was. I was playing drums in another band for just like a call-up kind of tour drummer, and we went out there with a whistler. We kind of did the whole thing out there, and it's gorgeous. It's like I don't know. The West Coast for me is where it's at. I absolutely love it. The mountains, the water. It just makes sense. It makes sense. Over here, it's a little harder to kind of find your chi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I suppose then you're conflicted in the world of performance and Toronto, New York. Yeah,
But
it's
then go south to Seattle, and you're in the home of grunge, right?
Yeah, Seattle is incredible. But I was going to say before I forget, you got to go if you ever get here to Ferris's Oyster Bar and Grill. Ferris's was famous because for over 20 years they had a yearly pug competition.
Come on.
And so the whole bar, man, the chicken burger there is so good. But I think sadly one of the original owners passed away right before the pandemic, so it's slightly rebranded and shifted. But they still have some of the pug pictures up. And they amassed just the most ridiculous classic pug paintings. And obviously when you go in there, they've still got like the newspaper cutouts of like most pugs ever seen in downtown Victoria for the yearly Ferris's Pug Off. So I think you'd love that.
That sounds amazing.
Are there any other pets in anyone's lives? Andrew, Al, seeing as though we seem to have been in an adorable moment? No?
No.
You've got to have, Adam, you've got to have some sort of family background team help here for when you're out on the road all the time, or does he come with you all the time?
Yes. I have my my parents. I have my father-in-law, and there's people that watch them. They love them. I never grew up with pets. My dad never, or my parents never wanted us to get one, but it was more because like you fall in love with it, and it's like very heartbreaking. They don't live like that long, you know. It's like maybe 10, 12 years. And you just get so like emotionally attached to them. And now getting it, like I understand that. But you're just like, oh man, this guy's so cute, and like you love him, brings so much joy into your day. And then like you're just like, oh man, like you only got an excess amount of time with them.
Yeah, it is pretty brutal. I remember I was never a cat guy because the very first cat I ever encountered when I was like 10, 11 years old, which was a strange year for me in terms of unfortunate incidences with random animals or people. But my best friend at the time, Andrew Hudson, had a cat that I guess had been through it, had been like run over and lost its tail and had this, that, and the other operation, and was pretty like leery and sort of just fuck off, like that kind of energy. But I'd never met a cat before. And so I remember it came running into his bedroom. We were on the floor playing cars on the old mats that you could get, fucking broom.
Oh, yeah.
And Andrew chased this cat and went, no. And I ran out with him. And I guess I'd cornered the cat and leant over to say hello. And it like latched on and just like that for, I guess you're on this camera, like that. There's two cameras, not flexing. It's just what it is. And like there's the one that you get that makes it look like I'm Casper the Ghost. And then there's the stream one that looks like darker and sensual and more light balance. And actually the light balance is not so great. I look like a Ouija board ghost trying to come through the music video right now.
There you go.
I'm getting a light a bit further forward, but I like to just chill out. But that scared the shit out of me. But then when I moved to Canada, I ended up basically adopting this cat, and he sadly passed away right in the middle of the pandemic. And even though I grew up with a family that had always 3 or 4 dogs, a fish tank that apparently I emptied by capturing every tropical fish with shoes and slippers and pots and pans when I was 6. I don't recall that. It could be a made-up story for all I know. But having gone through all of that and all those animals that have come and gone, whether I'd killed them or not, and like we grew up on an old sort of orchard and farm, and my parents had lots of chickens and stuff, and so I was experienced with animals leaving. But then when Dali passed away, I suppose it was the first animal that I had cared for as an individual mainly, and I was fucking devastated. I'd never felt such a unique kind of upset, being like, man, I failed this cat. And I was for a solid 3 or 4 days, it's like, I failed this cat, when really I didn't, because that's just what grief does to you. It really flips you inside out, and you haven't got any idea what the hell is going on until you deal with it the best you can and ground out. So anyway, I will write a song called Dali. No, I won't.
It's a good idea.
You should.
That's what I did for my grandma. That's a side note. But with Higher Than Drugs, that's a song that stands out for me a lot. And I love the idea of the video too. I mean, you said in the press release, actually, if I pull that up here, what did you say? The video for Higher Than the Drugs was shot in sunny Los Angeles back in January, before the world felt like such a small paranoid place. Explain the trio. This is Entertainment Tonight, Canada. Suddenly we're all isolated from outside world, and it's never been easier to feel lonely, even in the heart of an ordinarily bustling metropolis. Why can't I can never read quotes. Metropolis. Thank you, brain. And I love the idea that whether it's a garden gnome or it's a kid's ice cream or it's a vehicle is just floating away or the newspaper. First question, did you have fishing wire to do that? How did you green screen? How did you do that?
That was the first and only video that we were not around to shoot.
That was the easiest video we ever shot.
Oh, need never to show up.
No.
Filmed in LA.
We got sent the treatment and we were like, yeah, this is cool. And the guy was like, all right, I'm gonna film it and I'll give you the video in a couple days. We're like, awesome, this is great.
Yeah.
So there wasn't necessarily any. So you didn't even.
No.
Didn't write it. Didn't worry about it.
We were totally hands off.
Hands off on that one.
Every video we're so hands on, and it's so crazy how much we put into every video. But that one was just like, we're gonna do this, and it's gonna get done on this day. And what do you guys want to do? And we're like, well, we're kind of thinking this, kind of thinking that. And like, well, what do you think about this? And we're like, that sounds great. And like, all right.
And we were very happy too, because like videos are a very tough thing for us. And so I appreciate you like saying like, you know, oh yeah, we're really clever with our videos. But like in the process of like doing it, it's like for us to come up with an idea, like, I don't know, music videos have never been our strong suit as a band. So like, you know, to have a video come a treatment and like, hey, you guys don't even have to show up. We're like, this is awesome. And the treatment's cool. And when he sent it back to us, we're like, this is dope. Awesome.
Well, how have you gone about structuring and building then? Because when I went to like a performing arts school when I was 16 to 18 and focused on music tech, media and theatre until I focused mainly and dropped theatre in the second year. And then I ended up working there as a media teaching assistant for a few years. And this is when like Final Cut Pro was like the mecca, and Adobe were starting to buy out Cool Edit Pro and these different companies and build their Premiere suite, etc. And I look back to then and I'm like, man, that's what a time to be alive. It's just so dog shit compared to where we're at now. But what's the process that you take when you're putting together these videos? Are you storyboarding? And when you say it's just you, are you teaming up with the same 2 or 3 crew for most of these videos? Because how do you go about it? What's the approach?
It's always different.
It's always a little different. And each video, like we just shot the video for our latest single called Strange. We had this great director that did our photo shoot for us. And she's like, hey, I have like this kind of concept for this video. What do you guys think? And we're like, yeah, we like it. And we, you know, if we feel like there's a need to put in a lot of input and creative input that, you know, it's not going where we want, then we'll speak up. But if it's going where we want visually and the idea is kind of suiting the imagery properly, then we're open to lots of different ideas from different people.
We welcome like the outside help, especially from like a director or someone who's shooting it, because like I think the one thing that makes it really hard is like all 3 of us have different ideas for what a video should be. And so like I think that's what makes it difficult to actually go through with a video, is like we're all picturing something different. So you almost need like a director, a mediator to come in and go like, okay, no, I like that idea. I like what you're thinking. I like what you're thinking. And like figuring out a way to like kind of mend our 3 ideas together. Because we're all picturing something different usually.
But in the early days, how would you sit down before you had that support? How would you sit down and structure what you were going to do?
Well, in the early days, it was a lot of DIY type of music video stuff. So we would just like come up with some ridiculous, stupid idea, and then we would
break it down or assemble
a team of, you know, a friend who had a camera or, you know, edit, and it would just kind of go like that. We would shoot them like, you know, basically for no money and just get it done to have an accompaniment with the song, because pre-streaming the music video, there was a weird time where, you know, it was like this transition between CDs and streaming. And we kind of came up in this weird era where the music video had to come out the day that the song came out, and you had to get it on some blog, and it had to kind of be this one shot. Now with streaming, it's like the song can come out and a month later the music video can come out, because it just gives a song that much more longevity. So the culture around the videos changed. So in the past it was just super DIY. Let's get it done on the cheap. Let's get it done quickly. And let's make sure most importantly, that it comes out the day that the song comes out, because that will have the biggest effect in terms of making some sort of imprint.
Yeah, it's just so fascinating when you dive into that nerd side of the music industry and how it's shaped and changed so much in just the last decade, and how it's like I believe it's 2, maybe 3 years ago, the world of music decided that we were going to have release day be on Thursday because of Oceania being essentially a day ahead. The Friday thing wasn't working. It's Saturday in Australia, New Zealand. That's not going to fly. But now, sneakily during the pandemic, it's been bands going, oh, Tuesday's the new Thursday. No, Wednesday's the new Thursday. No, we're going to go Friday. And so like now where there's like a confirmed lock for most releases, because like you were just saying, Al, with how, okay, well, this video could show up a month later, that's how people are building this new timeline of expanding and extending any interaction they get with their art and their music. Because at the same time, it's like for me to speak to me, because you're going to speak to you once I finish this point, is when I left commercial radio and I shut down most of my social media, Facebook and whatnot is gone. But Facebook is where I had 20,000 incredible people that had followed me doing what I'd done. I mean, it's like Adam was saying earlier, we don't delete the Instagram, but that's one big thing that I wanted to get away from, was that world of Facebook. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to delete nearly 20 years of memories at this point, and ditch that. And I remember saying to my partner, Jody, well, if 1,000 of these 20 can follow me, then with everything that I do, I split 50-50 to give back to independent artists around the world that galvanize my soul, or to the community that support me, whether that's to help with pet surgery or counseling or moving house if they've lost their place in a park or a living situation, they've got to move to somewhere else in BC or whatever it might be. That's a big thing that I'm always going to be on, the 50-50 split. And I also believe that SOCAN and the licensing that I pay is too little. Online radio isn't taken seriously enough yet. Not that I'm, it's still very early days, just so I don't seem like I'm crossing into arrogance here, but it's all about trying to get more money in the pockets of people like you. But that is what's so interesting, in that people are not, my point being, just because you would hear, just because you're getting listened to a shit ton on Spotify does not mean people are going to watch you on YouTube. Just because your Bandcamp's popping does not mean they're going to go to your TikTok. And that's where I get confused and conflicted sometimes when people say, do everything. But you can carve out different pieces. But Al, you're just itching to dive into a point. I've got to throw it back to you, Al.
No, it's frustrating because you can, the way that music is released and listened to now, it's like you said, there's a million different channels and a million different ways to do it. And, 4 or 5 years ago, it was like Instagram, 7 years ago it was Facebook. Now it's like TikTok. And so it's constantly evolving and changing. And, while we're here and while we're doing our thing, that's part of the job. You got to change with the industry. You got to move with it. Otherwise, you kind of end up becoming a bit jaded by it all. And you just say, well, I'm not going to be on TikTok. I'm only going to be on, Instagram, for example. And then it's like, well, we're not the biggest band in the world, and you're missing out on a whole market of people here that could potentially be exposed to your band. So the way that music is listened to and disseminated, and the way that it's just across all different platforms, and each platform is different, is a full-time job in itself, outside of us being songwriters and music makers. It's a whole job, and you could be doing it for literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it's a lot. And you got to just be there. You got to do it. That's just what it is. And if you're here to do it, then you got to be doing those things.
Yeah, it's like with What Was That? And I'm waiting right now for, I haven't really done much advertising of it. It's all been very organic and shrewd to this point, because I wanted to build the product completely knowing that it was going to kick ass before I started really rolling it out and spending money, because you just have to be shrewd and mature, to be honest. Just got to be mature with it. I'm in my mid-30s now. I'm not really down for just throwing a shit ton of money at something that I don't know if it's going to work or not. I did that when I was a kid. I don't want to do that so much anymore. But I'm waiting right now on these new apps that I broadcast through a company out of Manchester, England, and their server's called Radio Co. And I'd gone to a few different app creators and said what I was trying to build and what I'd like. And they were like, oh, that's like 50 to 70 grand. And I'm like, sweet, can't do that. I'll speak to you never. Thank you, though, for your time. And then Radio Co approached me several months ago and said, we want to build an app for you. And I was like, wow, that's huge. And so I'm waiting any moment to have this new app that will change everything. Then I'll start advertising, because that's the last piece of the jigsaw for me. So then, like, when you look me up, you probably went through the website or an Instagram and went, okay, it's quite quiet here. Well, I know you did Instagram because you liked the story and you shared it and everything, and I appreciate that. But when the app comes, everything will fall into one spot, whether that's you listen to the station, whether I'm live or not, whether it's the playlist doing its thing, whether that's you listen to the podcasts or you watch them or you watch it live, everything will be in that one spot that is so crucial to me. But God, there's so many points that I'm trying to squash to make sure I don't lose sight of this main point to bring it back to it. But that's just how my mind goes. But I definitely was to go back to you 3 or 4 minutes ago, Al. I was like, fuck TikTok, man. I ain't got time for this shit. But then to go to your point a minute ago, it's like, yes, I've got all this content, and there's so much that I just can't. How am I gonna? What? Where do you start? And I know that I'm trying to prepare, so that when this new app comes, and it's just like boom, like just a wave of, because consumers now need to be met with, I don't know if I've got the time to go through all this shit, but I like this, so I think I'll try. Like, you need to just hit content. We hear all the time. But how do you divvy that up as a three-piece? Do you all dive into it? Do you have one app that you do one thing? Do you just go with the flow and there's not really a plan? How do you dive into this world of fickle social media?
Well, I definitely, I'm on the social media, so I'm running a lot of that stuff, but we plan days to just shoot content, especially because we're on the TikTok train. That is something that we're actively doing. And you do feel a bit like a dancing monkey on there, because we'd post, we just had a brand new single called Strange come out, and we've got 10,000 followers that we've grown on there in the last 4 months, but we've grown them by playing cover songs from the 90s, grunge cover songs, like little clips. Hey, do you remember this song from the 90s? And like one of them popped off, and then two of them popped off, and then all of a sudden 7 of them popped off. And then now we've got all of these 90s cover videos where, we're just basically singing the chorus of the song, and we're gaining all these followers and momentum, but they only care about that one thing. And so when we're posting our new song that's out, you don't see the love the same way that you see it for these cover videos. So it's a bit discouraging, because you feel like a dancing monkey, and you feel like people are only paying attention to our band for this one little niche that we seem to have struck on TikTok. But there have been some real benefits. There's fans, coming out to concerts that have heard of us now from TikTok. Our monthly listeners on Spotify have gone up because of TikTok. So there's other things that have happened, but it's frustrating not getting the same amount of attention on our original material, the stuff that we, work our asses off to put out into the world, our art, and then see it pop off for covering a fucking Smashing Pumpkins 1979 cover or something, right? But you understand why too, right? So
yeah, so delicate.
I get it. I get why people are reacting towards those covers. It's striking an emotion. It's nostalgic. It takes them back to a certain time in their life. And it totally hits the marks on a few things. And then it's like, hey, here's our brand new song. What do you think of it? And people are like, yeah,
never heard of it before.
Never heard of it. But I fucking love when you play, the Cranberries or something, right? So it's like TikTok can be a bit frustrating like that. However, we have made it our mission to post every day, 2 to 3 times a day, and we'll see how it carries out through the year, because we have grown a lot on there. So you just keep throwing shit at the wall and seeing what people go for. And we're so far into our careers now that there's no shame anymore. We don't give a shit. We're not trying to look cool. We're not trying to be someone that we aren't anymore. We've been in the rock world and been around rock and roll culture for the last 15 years. Like, this is us, man. What you see is what you get. I'm not trying to make some super cool hipster music for some Brooklyn vegan person. Like, we don't give a shit. We want to make music for people that care about what we do and are drawn to what we do. So when it comes to TikTok or Instagram or any of these things, it's like, if we can show an ounce of our personality to draw people into what we do, that's what those tools are there for.
What's wrong with Brooklyn vegan people?
Hey, that's a great website that supports a lot of great bands. I know, Andrew. I know you're just trying to get back at them for the ribbing you've been getting for being late to practice by 45 minutes. I understand that. And you've got the whole day until the show starts, and then when Adam gets anxious, you've got that 60 seconds to just prod him in the lower rib cage real hard.
It's not a knock specifically at that blog.
No, I know you're not.
Bigger picture idea, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's a blog?
It actually is. Brooklyn Vegan's a blog. It's a great music discovery blog. It's one of my go-tos. Yeah.
It's just it's the bigger picture of basically just, we stick to our lane, and if people like it and they discover us for liking who we are as a band and the music that we make, then that's what counts for us. That's what means the most to us. Yeah. Instead of, having to be discovered through some other channels or whatever. It is
such a delicate situation, and it is something that I've wrestled with when I've spoken with bands over the last 10, 15 years that I've been fortunate to speak to, of all different journeys in their careers. It's something that I always scratch my head about. Like, when any bands I've been in, I'm like, I don't want to do covers. That I've always been, I adore a great cover, but I've always, just from all the shows that I've gone to and in the world of radio and in commercial radio and being, asked to go to all these shows and scout these bands, and just my own love of music meant that for a solid 7 or 8 years when I first moved here, I was at least 3 or 4 shows a week, everywhere I could go to, whether it was the all age punk shows or the theater shows, whatever it could be, like just trying to just feed that love of passion in the arts and try and find bands that just galvanize me. And that's always where first point I'll say is this, to buy into this point too, is authenticity is key, right? Perception versus reality is something that I've harped on about a lot the last few years since I've left the mainstream of corporate radio. But how people perceive you to what you are is always going to be slightly different, I feel. And then also authenticity is what I gravitate towards, what I'm attracted to. And when I hear songs like Permanent and Skin Talk and Undercover, etc., I don't hear songs that I feel have been written to fit a mold for someone else or to try and buy me in. I hear songs that I feel have been written from within, and it's a release from that artist or that artistry, in case you three, a case in point.
Thank you.
So it's such a delicate balance when then the things you've got to do to jump through hoops to get new fans. But at the same time, Al, as you said, you've seen Spotify go up, you've seen that go up. What you're going to see from my fickle opinion on TikTok with those that say, fuck, what's this strange? This is strange. What is this? But they're the ones that are diehard TikTokers there for their content they expect from them. But then you've got that second layer, like in radio, they call them P1s. P1s are our listeners that listen no matter what. They don't care about the shit commercials or whatever. So we kind of care about them. They're a big deal in our listening shit. But at the same time, we're going for the P2s and 3s that we want to get them listening more because they're the in and out scatterbrain listeners. We want to get them in here and stranglehold them. But it's those ones, to me, that have always been equally as important. Everyone's equally important, but it's those ones, in my point, that go away and go, well, I'm actually going to take the next step. Like how Al came and then followed my social media and checked out what was at social media. And like, those are the people that are actually going to dive in the rabbit hole and go and affect that change, I believe, beyond just that one part of the world. And that's not to say that those that are just on TikTok aren't helping, because they have. They've garnered you 10,000 plus followers. But it's that next layer, that mostly the silent voice that goes and just actually, I'll go to the Bandcamp, I'll go to the Spotify, I'll go to the show. And that's not to say that no one else does, but those are the nerds that I'm going for with What Was That? Is like those, the people that are like, that just stumble into it and go, oh shit, what is this? Like someone wonderfully posted on one of my videos about Rainwolf last night. Because I guess I may have said some things comparing MGK to Rainwolf in this video that I did for Patreon, for patrons on Patreon months ago for a Song of the Week that then I released a few months later to YouTube to try and help. Much like you're doing TikToks, I can't not have this content just for 55 people. I got to put it out there and see if other people get into it. And this guy was like, oh, I really like the way that you classily completely shit on MGK, but you didn't really. I'm not like trying to shit on anyone, but there's a rock star that tells you he's a rock star, and then there's the actual pure rock star in Jordan Cook that doesn't tell you he's a rock star. He just rainwolves all over the world, I think is my takeaway from that. But anyway, passionate verbal diarrhea spiel aside, I think we're on the same page. How are you going to prepare the rest of the afternoon then if you don't really get any nerves ahead of the show? Like if you've got the light rig still next to you, Andrew, is there any pre-construction you do? Like what's going to be the rest of the day here? And is this, and Al, is this the end of a run, or this is the put into frame again to remind me at the start why this night is so big to you guys?
Well, we released a brand new single called Strange. We haven't spoken about it much.
No, we should dive into that actually. Yeah, the video is so fun.
Of this song. I know we talked a lot about Beautiful Nowhere, but Strange is particularly sentimental to us because it was written during the pandemic and there's a whole slew of things going on, probably the most vulnerable lyrics we've had. And so we figured we were going to play, because of the pandemic, we weren't able to do a whole bunch, and now we've been gigging a lot. So we've been playing a few past gigs this past month on some festival shows. Tonight is like our Toronto homecoming after, our not playing our home cities since the pandemic. And because the single came out and the wheels are turning, it's like our welcome back kind of show. And then we're playing a festival out in Kitabala in a couple weeks in Muskoka, Ontario. So we're just getting prepared to play more songs, and we're in the midst of recording our second album. And we've already got a whole bunch of material that's recorded for the album, and we're actually playing a brand new song tonight. Outside of the Strange that was just released about 3 weeks ago now. So
yeah, we did gloss over that with the Strange / I didn't dive into it at all yet, but with the music video is so fun. Obviously matches up with the photo shoot. Did the photo shoot come before that, you said, and then she came back and went, right, we can flesh this out, let's get some an
amazing director,
horse heads on you,
Kate Dockery. She did an excellent job with the photos. We were such big fans because we had always been used to looking a certain way in photos, and this kind of took us out of our comfort zone. A little more colorful, vibrant, and just something different for us. And we really liked what she did. And then with the video, she worked kind of on the concept with us to bring it to life. Because the lyrics are pretty straight up and strange, we didn't want to play too hard on the lyrics. We want to have more fun with it and not be so on the nose with the lyrics for the video. So the video is just kind of like weird shit happening inside of an anxiety attack, which kind of is the theme of the whole new record, is really about mental health and trying to just fight that uphill battle.
Yeah, I appreciate there's something that I've not said for 4 or 5 chats because it was becoming a recurring theme and I was trying to break the pattern of consistently saying it. But something that I always try and search for positives the best I can. I mean, some context without getting too dark that I've alluded to is that I was abused and nearly drowned when I was 10 years old by a couple of strangers that I don't know who they are. And they broke into the elementary school that I went to. And that meant that through my teenage years, I was constantly shape-shifting. Like, am I a punk rocker, a prog rocker, an emo? Like that's why anything with guitars in it, with a motif, like as soon as I heard Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder and Billy Corgan and anything that was just sort of strange and emotive, I was like, this okay. And Chester of Linkin Park, I mean, I felt like it was a brother from another mother. Like this guy's singing about something that he's not really saying what it is, but I feel like I've walked down a similar path to him. And I was devastated when he passed away. And I actually made like a whole 4-hour show on him when it happened that day when I was on the zone, and said to the boss, can I just dive into this? Because like you were alluding to when talking about the fickleness of TikTok and how music can take us back to these moments, these massive moments in our life. We apply these emotions and energy to it and it absorbs us and it reminds us. And I've always adored artists that I feel are singing from their own soul. I'm not necessarily going to take you into the water completely and swim with you around it, but I'm going to allude to it a little bit and then allowing listeners to either dive in and, for me, attach my own world to the Chester Bennington world. And is he living? What are we doing? Are we other side of the planet, 10 years removed in terms of age, but gone through the same stuff? And to my point, what I've adored about the positive of the real fucked up negative of the last few years of isolation and whatnot is that it's pushed bands into realms of their mindset that they've never been in before. Now, bands have always had to have a very acute health level of the hustle of trying to be a band. Are you a cook? Are you a bartender? What are you to try and survive to still go and do this? The never knowing, there's no month like the next. There's no week like the next. You don't check in, check out and go and work as a postman or as a receptionist or whatever it might be. There's no consistency to your life. And that's, with me, the last 2 years, what I have found the most challenging is taking away from being quite comfortably paid, healthcare, etc., and now not having it and being like, whoa, like this is day to day, how I finance and the three of us live, and the support I get from Jody and Harley, and Harley's her 8-year-old son, Jody, my partner, is massive. The trust that they have in this project and the people that support me. But that's still the biggest thing that I'm trying to figure out is, like, as I said at the start of this chat, I felt like I was learning that part of my psyche and myself with the band, but I didn't get enough. Now I want to truly be like, shit, all this stuff that you don't know is going to get going. But my point being, before I side note too much with context that I'm a lover of, is that it's made bands dive into new ways of expression. It's made bands dive into new ways of bettering their toolage and how they build their own light rig, or they solder their own light rig, or they produce themselves for the first time, or they dive into the school of YouTube that didn't exist 10 years ago. We can watch all these documentaries and rundowns on how you produce or recorded or whatever. And I feel that because of the slew of bands, there's bands like Kid Capiche out of England, there's bands like Loot out of Norway, there's bands like Bonglord out of Holland, there's bands like Spiral Drive out of Germany, there are bands like Psychedelic Porn Crumpets out of Australia that have self-produced themselves and learned all these new tools the last 2 years, and are some of my favorite artists on this planet in this moment. Why? What's the recurring theme? Verbal diarrhea part 4 aside, authenticity. That's it. It's their mold, their shape on everything. Andrew controls your lights. Andrew controls the samples. And it's not that you don't trust the light rig or the sound guy. It's that you do also know that maybe they don't do so good a show for the opener, or whatever it might be. So the more power that we can take for ourselves and our product and our art, the better. And that's my favorite part of what has been a really strange few years, yes. But that is what is, I can't wait to hear this new record. Like if you're going to be even more transparent than you've been before, Al, how did you process, how did you all stay balanced? Did you just throw yourself into music? Did it come quickly? Did you go, I don't know if I want to write anything right now? There are bands that were like, I don't know what to say. There are bands that get prolific about it.
Well, it was a really weird time for us because our album was coming out in June of 2020. Here's March 2020. The world's on shutdown. We decided to take things completely online very early on. We started this Instagram live every night thing. We play a couple covers, interview some artists, called Stuck Inside, a play on the band name. And we built our social media. Like, we really focused our time because we couldn't tour and we couldn't play shows. And we're like, hey, we got our debut album on this brand new record label coming out, and we can't get out there to support it the way we want. And so we did that for the first 6 to 7 months. And then realizing that songs were on the radio across Canada and we were charting, we're unable to get out to radio stations to do what we do, which is show up, play acoustic, tour, do interviews, do all the things that bands do when they're promoting new music. And so it kind of lived and died at radio. And so there was a big moment of like, holy shit, like, we don't know when we're going to play shows. We don't know what the future of the band holds. We didn't know if we were going to be playing music anymore, because at that point, man, like, the world was a pretty ugly spot to be in, especially in the arts, because, we were like the bottom of the barrel, right? No one cared about. Of course, I mean, there was massive things happening in the world, and health was a priority, and COVID was this new thing that no one knew anything about. Of course, no one cared about watching a friggin' live concert or, supporting a band. So it was pretty hard. It was pretty depressing, and we didn't know what to do. And we wrote Strange during the first lockdown in Ontario. And that song was really just encapsulated all the feelings that we had about, seeing our friends, moving on with their lives. And we felt very, not to make a big pun, but we felt very stuck with where we were. And we didn't know, like, shit, are we going to be able to move forward? Are we going to be able to continue being a band? There is no end in sight. And so that song kind of came from this place of looking at people around us moving on with their lives, doing bigger and better things. And you're just like, and social media fucking with you, looking at everybody's highlight reel of, hey, look at what I'm doing. And you just waking up every day being like, holy shit, I feel really, really stuck. And that's where Strange kind of came from. The sentiment of Strange came from. And we're really proud of those lyrics because they're really true. And we've already had people react to them better than any songs on Beautiful Nowhere that have said to us, like, holy shit, like, I really feel like this, like, I really feel the way that you guys felt the way when you wrote this song. And that's the best kind of shit, when you're actually connecting with people and the message actually breaks through. That's why we do this. That's what makes this very rewarding, because you certainly have to put up with a lot of ups and downs of being a musician or being in the music industry. And so when people really connect with a song, especially like Strange, that's what makes us feel really good. So we're very proud of the song. We're proud of the video. We're excited to be playing in our hometown tonight, being able to play it for people here for the first time that haven't been able to see us.
Yeah, big time.
And I know that you said that for the most part you let the director, and pardon me, I forget her name, run with the ideas, but with the rabbit heads and the scene in the car and stuff like that, because sort of Donnie Darko maybe, but for me, for years, I would always dream of snakes. Like, after I had that incident happen, there would be like snakes that would show up, not like Medusa or anything like that. But to me, that's where my mind went when I had watched it for the sort of 10th time and being like just completely consumed by the energy. And that's why I go back to back to back to back to back, listening or watching a video or a song, because I really want to try and meet you with where you were when you were writing it. And is that a particular choice of animal to have those heads on?
Yeah, for sure. We definitely thought about the animals before Kate Dockery, the
thank you,
got the masks and everything. But it's just about a duality of, during that period of the lockdown, it just felt like everything felt so weird. And all of a sudden you're spending way more time with family and you're spending way more time at home than you ever had. And you can't do anything and you can't go anywhere. And it was this feeling of like just utter, depression, just not knowing what was going to happen tomorrow. And so the masks in the video, there's like a frog, there's a crow, there's a rabbit, outside of looking super badass in the video and looking really cool. we were all talking like, hey, which animals would we be and why? So like Adam he's wearing his jumpsuit and he put on this rabbit head and he's like, I feel like I felt like the rabbit represented him, and I felt like a frog, and Andrew felt like this bird-like crow. And it was just trying to show this duality and weirdness that coincides with the song.
Andrew, would you like to speak to your choice of bird-like crow?
Just honestly,
Bird-like crow.
it's just a badass mask, and I think
It looks
that
good from the side.
And from the side, you could see him really pecking away.
Yeah, no, it was great. I think the mask, like Kate was really spot on with having she actually asked us, said which ones you want, and we kind of all had our decision, and she's like, honestly, I think these ones are great. We went with them, but I think it added something different and really like made us, like, even putting them on, like made us feel a little different. And I think that's what it was about. The song is called Strange. The video had to be strange, make us kind of out of our comfort zone feel strange. And I think it really tied it all together really well.
I think there's a wonderful cynicism and sarcasm to the fact that you chose a mask of an animal that never forgets anything and is never late to anything. And here we are today. Crows don't forget, man. They don't forget the jam starts at 9 a.m. Okay, Jesus. Sorry, I just can't help but just keep rolling. It's just the comedian in me that has to bring back something from half an hour ago. We've been speaking for an hour and 25 minutes, so we're into the last 2-3 minutes here, because I know for me, after this kind of chat, I get such a high from it that then I have a massive crash, and I do not want to be responsible for the hometown show and you walking out and going, these first 3 songs are great, but this English guy fucking exhausted us earlier, and I don't want that. The last thing I'd like to finish with is, and we'll start with whoever feels compelled to go first, is that what is, after all these years of friendship, what are a couple of things that when you look back to the early stages of friendship and then you look at the last few years, what are a couple of little nuggets of awesome that stand out about why you just love each other so much, and why you've just looking back at, okay, here's the young version of Adam, Al, and Andrew, and here's why, man, I remember when Al did this when we were this old, and I remember now it wouldn't be like that. Like, what are 3 things, the 3 of you, what are 2 things that are so special of this history of 15 years plus of friendship and evolution?
It's a crazy thing to think back about. It's sometimes it's hard to put into words, but like, because we've been through so much, I just think like now, back then I think we were all a little stubborn. And I think now, like, we know how each other works now. We kind of know, like, each of our ideas or where it's going. I think we listen to each other better now. It's just a weird thing. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that, but.
I was just going to say, I think we're still very passionate about what we do through all of the ups and downs. And I think just the loyalty that we've shown each other just to be here and keep doing this, because it certainly doesn't get easier.
We're married through good and
yeah,
bad.
you are pretty much.
And it becomes more difficult as each passing day. So the fact that we're still here, we're still striving to be and release the best art and music that we can. And we're all on the same page, is same 3 dudes. There hasn't been a million lineup changes. There hasn't been anything like that. It's crazy to think about. And when people that have known us for a long time are like, holy shit, I saw your band 13 years ago. I haven't seen you guys play, but it's crazy that you're still playing. And it makes you feel a little crazy. It's kind of a good feeling in some weird, strange way.
Yeah.
See what he does there? He's name and strange in like this weird kind of, just throwing that in there.
Promo.
He's just Mr. Pun over here.
Being punny.
He's being punny.
I think that for us, I mean, I think that we're like we've developed this brotherhood, like we are a family, you know what I mean? And doing this is not easy. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's very it's dangerous. It's hard work, and to find 2 insane like-minded people to do it with is something really special. And then, like Al said, you find it's the same guys. We haven't had oh, we had this guy come in and that guy out or whatever. It's like we've been the same guys since basically high school. Same three guys doing this, and I think that's what's special, and that's something that I'm lucky to have two guys who are like, this is what we're fucking doing. We're not doing anything else. This is our shit, and we're gonna do this until we can't. And that's, I think, something that I cherish big time.
And then the last thing is, what do you each do aside from music just to chill out? You're going to come back from the show tonight. I mean, share what you're willing to share. I may be asking you straight after the show. It's not the way we want to go. But what's the one thing that you do to just chill out aside from music?
Well, if it's like a Toronto show and we're like close to our homes, usually get back, order some McDonald's on Uber, and then I sit with my dog and I watch some like Seinfeld or Frasier,
Frasier.
I don't know if you know Frasier.
Oh yeah, classic. We were talking about Seattle earlier. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, great shows. That's kind of like my downtime usually.
Perfect.
I don't eat McDonald's all the time. I'm just saying, like,
you don't look like someone that eats McDonald's all the time. No. And the way that you quickly did that with the toothpick scares me mildly. So no, I know that you don't just eat McDonald's all the time.
I know people.
I know people who got fries, other fries. Okay. You want fries? I got other fries. That's terrible. I apologize. I don't apologize for that. It is what it is. Al, oh God, I'm getting this shit now. From the stroke of the side of the face to the back of the hand, John. Back up. Okay, Al, over to you.
Like, is it specifically after a show, or what do I do in
No,
general?
just what you do, just to chill. Like, you're a Call of Duty person. You like to watch Dr. Disrespect on stream YouTube. What do you do?
What do I do? I like to hang out with family a lot, be around family. I think that's important. And I don't know, read, make art, paint or something. I don't know. Yeah.
What's the last book you read?
The last book I read is Grief. No, that's a good one. It's a crazy one. It's this whole theory that's like the Matrix theory. It's called the Occult Society. It's crazy shit.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, I'll have to send you it's a very short book / essay that I purchased on Amazon, and it's pretty wild stuff.
So it's like page 1, the world is a matrix. Page 2, you're still reading this? You're fucked. Page 3, the end.
Let's just say that this particular author's views on the world are very interesting and definitely make you think a little differently, whether you
it's all about space, man.
Yeah, space-time dimension stuff, whether you believe it or not.
People coming here telling you like in 2048 there's going to be a tsunami.
I'm very interested in searching for the answers in the unknown. I don't know. I'm always very drawn to that kind of weird shit.
Yeah, so am I. I'd love to read that. Yeah, I can't wait for Matthew McConaughey to play that person in a film as well. That's going to be great.
All right.
Yeah. Just, you've seen that film, right? I'm in the black hole. My daughter, I'm going to push this book over. Yes, now you believe in...
Is that oh yeah, I've seen that movie. What's that called?
I haven't said it because I can't remember. I was hoping that you'd pick it up and I'd be like, yeah.
It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
Someone in the chat might say something whilst Andrew lets us know that he's a massive fan of Fortnite.
Sorry?
Someone in the chat might let us know what the film's called whilst you tell us about your love of Fortnite.
Oh no, I'm not
I know.
I dabble. During the pandemic I was pretty heavy on the systems, but it was more trying to prepare myself for the apocalypse to come that I thought, because put on your TV there's a bunch of riots, there's cities on fire, there's a pandemic. I was like, I gotta get my my stuff going here and get ready for my my crouching. And
you built a bunker.
Dip, dodge, dive, duck,
dodge. If you can dodge a wrench, Andrew, you can dodge anything.
That's it, exactly. So I was really heavy into the video games during the pandemic. Just kind of was something that kind of like calm me down a little bit. Meanwhile I had shut it off and I'm sweating, but I really like just building. I need to just build. I gotta build stuff. That's what I do. I bought a 50-year-old motorcycle that was like in bins, and I put it together and I ride
nice.
it. And I just do stuff just to kind of.
Actually, you should add baking to your. You
I
bake
don't
some of the cookies that you gave me before this.
Oh, I bake wheat cookies
Once.
Sweet.
once, but now apparently I'm now a weed baker.
Yeah.
That's sweet. I mean, to speak to Andrew's motorbike, we got to go for a ride sometime. And then to speak to your weed cookies, we have just suddenly decided to watch all of the Great Canadian Baking Show on Netflix because Harley, we all love it. Harley is amazed by watching people build these incredible cakes and cookies and whatnot. That reminds me of a story when I first moved here. And I know I said 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago. And after Al stretching, I'm like, let them go. Let them fucking go. Let them go.
I stretched? I don't remember my stretch.
Okay. But you've given me so much time. I'm so appreciative of it. But when I first moved to this country and one of my best friends, Phil, and I went over to his house down on the Gorge Water. It was beautiful where his parents had lived for years and his brother bought the house a few years ago. As again, I can't help but share unnecessary context to everything because everything pieces together like a jigsaw. But he was like, yo, have you ever seen like Trailer Park Boys? And I was like, no, I've never seen Trailer Park Boys. He's like, oh, right. Well, Mum's just made some brownies. If you want to grab a brownie, we'll watch some Trailer Park Boys after we've had some, he likes to suntan, Phil. He loves covering himself in coconut oil and getting as tan as he can, whereas I like to be in as much shade as possible at all times before I start whinging a lot. And I had one of these brownies and I didn't know what was in the brownie. You know where this is going. I go back outside. I hang out for a bit. I'm like, yeah, we're smoking one. I'm chilling. I go back inside. I get another brownie. He's like, yeah, I mean, we'll probably be good on that brownie for a bit. I'm like, yeah, really? It's chocolate, man. I have another one. And he's like, how many brownies have you had? I said, I've had about 4 or 5 at this point. And then I watched Trailer Park Boys for 12 hours.
Wow.
I didn't move other than to urinate, I think, twice in 12 hours. Was still hungry for 12 hours, was laughing uncontrollably for 12 hours at Julian and co. Yeah, so you got to be careful with that. You got to get that butter balance right. Otherwise, you're going off on the deep end.
Butter balance.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I greened out the other day.
Yeah.
You did what? Sorry?
I greened out. I had like a whole cookie and I didn't know if it was going to be strong or not. And yeah, it wasn't a good feeling.
Just the rule of thumb is you just increments, you got to start small.
I was excited.
I know, I get it.
I was like, I baked these cookies. I was like, this is awesome. Never made weed butter before.
Yeah, Al, you laughed. The butter balance is crucial, man. It's so
Butter
crucial.
balance is crucial. Yeah.
Hashtag butter balance. But and then the last thing I'll share with regard to weed cookies is that I, for years, was terrified of flying. And obviously, it's like a 9-hour trip over here from London. And I was going back for my sister's wedding, and I thought, I'm kind of almost there and being relaxed and being stuck in the air now. But I want to try and see if I can like micro dose. Like maybe I have like half a weed cookie, and then I'll like fall asleep and I won't even know there's been a flight. And I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll test it. And I got the chance to speak to Nothing But Thieves a few years back, and my boss was like, I'm going to fly you Harbour Air from Victoria to Vancouver. And I thought this is a good time to test this theory. If I can have a little bit of cookie, not on the flight there, because I didn't want to show up to the interview and be like, you're one of the biggest bands in the world right now, and I didn't want to be a fucking train wreck. So I did it on the way back. I thought if I can have a quarter of this cookie, and I was near shit myself. I was petrified. It's the worst thing you could do is to have a cookie and get on something that you're scared of. Like it just, and I remember when I got to the walking on, and the person who was like putting us on the seaplane was like, oh, Jonathan, we've heard that it says here, terrified of flying. How would you like to sit up front with the captain? And I was like, oh, I feel like I should be 7 years old. Thank you so much. It's going to be such an experience. Thank you. And I get in the front and the captain's like, show me how to put the headgear on. He's like, okay, Jonathan, I've heard that you're very, very afraid. He's obviously Canadian. I'm not going to try and do my Canadian impression. It's not very good. I've heard you're very afraid of flying. And I thought with you being up front, you could see everything that's going to happen and you'll see that there's no issue to be afraid of here. Just don't touch anything other than this button to speak to me. Otherwise I can't hear you. And if you hear anyone speaking to me, please don't speak to them because you're not meant to be speaking. And I think after 10 minutes, he realized I was baked out of my mind because he just started having fun. Like, hey, you see this switch? You want to flick this switch? You want to flick this switch? And I'd be like, and it would take me like 60 seconds to tell my body to move my hand up and he'd go, don't flick this switch. Don't touch that switch. Anyway, that's a whole other story.
That's not nice. That's not nice, man.
Oh no, I found it quite charming, and it's cynical comedy, blunt comedy. I'm all for it, So I just remember being so enthralled by pavement when I got there. That was great. No, I think, gentlemen, I would love to dive into another chat when the album's out in several months or next year or whatever. I just am so thankful for your time, and it's so cool that all three of you agreed to do this, especially after the morning. And this is not a dig, Andrew, but especially after how you can sometimes be put completely off kilter when your morning doesn't quite go as you thought. So the fact that you all committed to this, and the fact that you even researched, Al, who I was and what I was doing before this, is paramount. It just speaks an awful lot to the kind of guys that you are, that I felt you were when listening to your music, and now it's been confirmed that I think you're sweethearts and you're crazy talented. And I'm just really excited for the second record, because I think all these 15 years of grinding and working, well, maybe I shouldn't have said grinding, all these 15 years of working your backsides off.
You're right, it was a grind.
It's right on the precipice now. Like, right, I think you're just right there. And I'm so excited to see what comes next. And however I can support, and what little support I can do, I'm always here to help the best I can. I'm not Howard Stern. I'm not, insert name here, I'm not Alan Cross in terms of Toronto radio legends. But I got so much time for you guys. And again, such a thrill to speak to you all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you, man. This is one of the most fun and best interviews we've ever done. And who cares about all those big people? You're you, and you're doing a great job. And we appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. It means the world to us. Well,
thank you. I'm definitely now, Al, going to tap you to speak to some of your friends. Hey, can you put me in touch with these guys now? No. I'll let the universe decide that. The universe will decide that. But no, just have an amazing show tonight. Is there going to be any? I'm presuming you're getting someone to shoot something for a TikTok. Is there going to be anything more expansive than that?
We'll have content.
Yeah, something.
Got to get the content. Yeah, we're on top of all that stuff. We'll post some stuff for sure, and we've got each other on Instagram now. So
yeah.
So we'll keep in touch, man. This was a lot of fun.
Andrew, last thing, I GoPro'd every show that I drummed from behind and in front to sort of look back on and chastise myself for being shitty or okay. Do you capture anything as a drummer nerd? I'd love to see how you go about all those 4 or 5 things at once.
Honestly, I probably should start doing that. It's just to add another thing right now, which I just especially because GoPros are really unreliable. Like you start them, you put them there, you play the show. Then you go look at it and you're like, oh, I got 4 minutes. Wicked. What happened? I don't know. Maybe it's my SD card that I'm using is just crap, but
it could be that. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll send you one of my GoPros that's been rested for a few years. Get a really fast SD card, and we would record an 1.5-hour set. No, it would just got to make sure you hit record.
Yeah. You know what? I should maybe at the festival show, I'm going to do that, and I'll hit you up, or maybe I'll give you a little bit of footage, see what I do back there.
Yeah. The nerd in me would love to see it. Anyway. This will never end unless you select leave meeting. You have to leave the meeting, because I will talk to you all day. Some of these have gone, like when I spoke to Jack for Psychedelic Porn Clubs, it was like 3-4 hours. You have to leave. Otherwise, I will not end. I will not stop.
It's been a pleasure, man. And let us know when everything's up that we can go and promote it all and let people listen.
And let's do this again.
Yeah.
We'll make it longer next time.
Yeah, we'll see how we go, Adam. Thank you. All right, get out. Go. Love to all. Get out of here. Thank you.
Bye.
Boy. What wonderful souls. That was really cool. I've been waiting for that for 1.5 years. That was really, really special. Isn't it so amazing when you chat with people? And as I've said in that conversation, if you've recently joined, perception versus reality. You can build a narrative of how you think someone's going to be, how they might interact with you, how you might get along. You feel that you're going to get along, but then the reality is never exactly as you thought. This was not exactly as I thought, but what I presumed it was. Am I counterpointing myself to oblivion and it makes no sense? No. Warm, open, authentic, passionate, and hilarious conversation. That was really, really cool. You wonderful soul, whatever you are doing with the rest of your day, and as always, please look after yourself. And I hope there's some fun and smiles involved in the rest of it too, because we've got to cherish that positive. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. And until next time, lots of love. And cheerio. Always that awkward moment when you've got to move the mouse across a few screens and then say end stream. Bye-bye.